What's up, y'all? It's your girl Nick. So we are here for Love is Blind, Season 3, Episode 5, Trouble in Paradise. So the episode resumes with the scene where Bartiz asks Nancy, is she okay with him being honest right now? Does she have an issue with how honest and transparent he is about being confused now because he still is attracted to Raven? So then we see all the couples still, in their perspective rooms or suites or wherever they are. And we see some of them talking about doing some excursions for the day. We get a scene where Colleen and Cole, they're sitting there and they're talking. And so, they start to talk about, she asks him, how was it seeing everybody? No, he asked her, how was it seeing your exes and other people from the pods and stuff. She like, it was cool. It was a nice time, but I'm still all about you. Like, nobody else, like, nobody turned my head. So he was like, okay. She said, you. She said, how was it you seeing Colleen in person? And he was just like, it was cool. Like, I'm still in love with you, though. Like, I don't have eyes for Colleen. She's engaged to Matt, and she seems happy, so I'm good. She was like, but is she like typically what you would go for? Like, did you find her that attractive? And he told her the truth, like, yeah, that's typically when I go out and look for women, like physically how she looks, that's the type I would normally go for. And she asked, how did she fit into that? And, he was honest with her saying that, you're different. Like, your looks are totally different from what I would normally see. But that does not mean that I'm not attracted to you. Like, I'm still attracted to you and still want to marry you and stuff like that. So, we see her have a little confessional and she's saying, with her being 30 and stuff like that, she's trying to have a more mature approach to this. She don't want to come off as being insecure, but she's absolutely insecure about where things might head since he's seen Colleen in person. Then we see a conversation between Matt and Colleen. It looks like they're on a boat and they're talking about seeing everybody. And she was like, it was cool seeing everybody. Um it was cool. They were attractive, but I'm happy here. That's how she said it, but it didn't sound so convincing. So Matt is like, yeah, I'm very happy with you. And she was saying that she told him, her top was Brennan and he rejected her, and then Cole rejected her. And he was like, oh, they rejected you. She was like, yeah, Brennan definitely rejected me, but it's okay because I ended up where I needed to be. Like, you're my top or whatever. So he was just like, okay, because after having been through this before, like, having my heart broken and stuff, being in that relationship, it's taught me some things basically, and he don't want to go through that again. And she's saying that because she knows he's been through that, she don't want to be the one to hurt him in that way anymore. So she wouldn't do that to him. And I'm thinking to myself, girl, you lying to yourself and you lying to him because you're definitely going to do that. But he asked her how was she, how does she think she's going to deal with people being attracted to her when they get out of this whole experience and they get home and stuff. And she was like, well, in the past, I've always lied and said I got a boyfriend I'm taking and stuff. But this time I got a ring so I can show him the ring and be like, I'm not available, I'm taking. It's going to be super easy for me. So he happy about that. He's smiling. He like, okay, okay. I'm just thinking to myself, girl. So we see Alexa and Brennan sitting on a bench in like a garden / park area. So they just sitting there chit chatting about what life is going to be like outside of this experience once they get back to the apartment that they're going to share with each other. And so he mentions that he's kind of messy. And she was like, how messy? Because I'm messy too. And we can't have two messy people together. And then so they get to talking about what kind of messes they have. And that's when she was like, well, my mess is like really just, it's a lot of clothing because I don't, a fit is a fit. I don't wear the same outfit twice. So you mean to tell me you buy new clothes all the time? Because you wear something once and give it away, throw it away, sell it, whatever it is you do. That's how you living. So then she mentions how he dresses and what his sense of style is, and he's just a regular plain old guy. And she's talking about taking him and getting him some custom cowboy boots and some other stuff. And he's in the confessional like, yeah, I'm not doing that. And she's going to learn that pretty soon. I'm a laid back type of guy. I'm not doing any of that. She'll learn. So then we see Bartiste and Nancy chilling on and getting some brick oven pizza or whatever. They got pizza and wine. So she mentions like the conversation they had the night before. She brings up the fact that um he, you know, how he was talking about Raven, and she was talking about Raven in the pods to you guys was a different Raven to us females in the process before we were all engaged. And she was like, she's negative. She's a negative person. And here I am so bubbly. So I guess what I'm saying is like it took me aback when you said that physically that she's your type because she's she's negative and that's all she has going and stuff like that. And you said that she was at your top, you know, and I'm like, why would he pick me? And you know, it's with two totally different people, and he gonna keep trying to reassure her. That's just how y'all do. Y'all like to talk out both sides of your neck and try to convince somebody that you is all them, all about them, and then on the other hand, you over here talking to your boys or talking to whomever you got on the side, and you telling them a whole nother story, you know, just double talking. So I knew she was gonna bring up the whole Raven stuff, and he was like, "Well, to be honest with you, like." It was her and I. We had already discussed that we both knew that each other probably was like a statuesque, nice looking person because we both into the fitness thing. He said, and honestly, we connected on that and we had a lot of different conversations and stuff. But to be honest with you, yeah, physically she's bad. Like she looks good, but you and I built something on an emotional connection, and that's why I had to go ahead and go with you. Like me and you when we would talk you know, it was so fun and we related and we connected on a different level than Raymond and I had. Basically, it was vain. It was superficial is what he's trying to convince her to believe, but we all know better. He he's still very much physically attracted to her. Is it something that he want to pursue in like maybe a marriage? I'm not sure, but he's definitely physically attracted to Raven. So we see SK, everybody's in the pool, right? The rooftop. With the infinity pool, overlooking the mountains and the plains and the land below. We see SK and Nancy talking. So Nancy mentioned something about being a Scorpio and like an affectionate things. And SK was just like, and she said something, is it like that for Raven or something? She said, trying to find out more about Raven because she knows that Bartiste is attracted to her still. So SK was like, that was like the first thing she told me. It's like that she's really not an affectionate person. And I knew that going into it because he said, I told Raven that I want you to come to terms to love me or want to be with me and in your way, not in the way that somebody would want you to be because he wants it to be honest. So we're going to just assume that there's no physical nothing going on there. So then we see Raven um in the pool and she's talking to I think it was Colleen and Alexa, and she's just like things have been moving slow between her and SK. They've been having a whole lot of serious, realistic conversations about the logistics of life and how they like things and things like that. And basically, it's kind of sounding like the way she's telling it to them, it's almost giving like they're having these kinds of conversations by choice because he wants to have them conversations. Not that she necessarily wants to be talking like that. And also, she's not giving off that she's being cold and distant towards him. She's not letting them know that. She's making it seem as though it's SK who's being serious and she wants to be things to flow more easy or, to be more fluid between the two of them and, start cracking some jokes here and there, whatever. She said they've cracked a few, but that's about it. So then we see it's still Alexa. Who was that sitting right there? It was Alexa. I think it was Zay. And Alexa got real low on her voice, like, yeah, things are different with running out, like the sex thing. She kind of like speaks in lower tones, real hush hush, like, yeah, the sex thing, we finally got there. And it was just like, I'll let you guys know, like, he was just like jamming it in for like 2 minutes. She said that's how it was, and it was just like, that's not it, basically. She was like, but we're good now, we're good, it's all good now, so maybe he got better. Or she told him what she likes or whatever, but yeah. And then we're seeing, we see Cole on the floaty and SK and Zay standing on the side. And Cole is yelling to Zay to come get in the pool. And she was like, no, I'm just going to stand on the side and cheer you on and do my thing. I don't look good when I get wet. I want to preserve this look I worked hard to put together. For her to be 30, she is so focused on how she looks and appears to other people at all times. And that's not good. She got to do better than that. As Forrest Rocks would say, you is molded. Scratch the neck, scratch the neck. OMG. So, Bartiste and Raven are on the side of the pool talking, right? He feed her all these compliments like, you're so beautiful. When I saw you outside of the pods, I was just like, oh wow. And then he also keep trying to throw in that, him and Nancy have this great emotional connection. They connected, and the show is about being love is blind and everything. So it's not supposed to go on the physical anyway. But he said, but I hope that you can accept the compliment I'm giving you. And she was like, yeah, cool, yeah. He was saying how him and Nancy, they can laugh together. They're like best friends. They joke. They get each other. And he was like, and our connection, me and yours, Raven, is just like, it was like I would mention this or you would mention something and I'd be like, oh yeah, I do that. He was like, so we was like connected on another level on different things too. And she was like, but don't you feel like we had similarities, that we were both into similar things, but that does not necessarily mean that we are a match for one another. And so we see her in the confessional and she's all like, listen, now that he wasn't in love or giving all these compliments to Pod's Raven, but now that he sees me in the physical, now you want to feed me all these compliments. And she basically said she really did come in for a connection, an emotional connection, not a physical one. And clearly, Bartiste is into her physical. He's not into her emotionally like she wants. And he does not have, she said he has absolutely zero possibilities of a shot, a chance. As you know, he complimented her and saying all this shit because he thinking that's going to get him in and he going to get her number and he will be able to talk to her at this. She said it's no happenings. So then we see them back talking. And she was like, yeah, we connected on some things and we had some similarities, but don't you feel like you made the best choice for you? Because, yeah, we have that. We both look nice. We both, I feel like I would never go up and approach a guy to talk to me. You would never go up to a female and approach a female to talk to you because we both look how we look physically or whatever. So we never would have, if outside of this, we never would have come and approach each other. Anyway, she said, and I just feel like, That's why I'm glad I made the choice that I made, because I'm getting and receiving love the way I need it. Like, I need the emotional connection. And SK, he reassures me. He talks and things like that. We like you and I, outside of the working out, the fitness stuff, and how we look, what are we going to talk about? What are we going to connect on? And it's Bartiz. Yeah, I'd agree. I agree with that. I agree. No, you don't. You thought you was gonna get that foot in that dough. You slowed it. So Cole has just got diarrhea in the mouth. He over there telling Alexa that, he do feel like Zay is a pretty girl, but his first pick, like what he always go for, she's just not that. And he loves her. He got love for her, but he not head over heels yet. And then we see, and Alexia is just like, oh, okay. And we see her in the confessional like, wow, I didn't pry or anything. He's just telling me everything. She was like, he just spilling everything. The tea is spilling, and I don't drink tea. I'm a coffee drinker. This is not, people just tell me things that I didn't ask for. She's fucking hilarious. Then we see we see Raven talking to Matt about SK, and she was like, I don't want to say I'm high strung, but I'm the one that I'm on the go, I'm on the move. If something need to be done, I'm to it like this. SK's the type, like, he taking his time, he counting the steps and everything like that. And so Matt was like, oh, okay, my kind of guy. And then we see him in the confessional, like, honestly, I didn't think that they would work because their personalities are so different, but maybe opposites attract, and I can see it working. I feel like they're gonna be one of the best couples in here. I'm like, oh, so you think? He was like, I mean, I like him for her. So then we see Alexa talking, and she ooh, hold up. Okay, so I'm back. Sorry. Had to go get my food, and I kind of like had some phlegm come up. That's why I had to get off the camera. But I'm back. I forgot to mention that after Matt said what he was saying in confessional about Raven and SK, we get Raven in confessional saying she totally forgot Matt was a part of this process. Like, that's how forgettable he was. She was like, but now that I see him with Colleen, she was like, Colleen was like my best girl in the pods or whatever. And I really like him for her. I think they're going to work. They're going to make it. And then we see Alexa on the side. She's talking her big shit. And she's like, everybody's been spilling their tea to her. And just from what they've been saying, like, her and Brendan, they don't have any tea to spill. It's nothing really going on with them like that. And then we see Cole saying that he feels like Alexa and Brennan is the perfect little match of weirdness. Cole over there bothering Colleen, saying like, so how are things with you? Are you happy? She's like, yeah, we're good. Everything's going perfect for us. He was like, so you guys are definitely getting married? She's like, yeah. He was like, because I will tell you. Matt told me, like, you're freaking perfect, and I know things can't always be perfect. She was like, but our stuff is going good right now. Like, I'm thinking to myself, stop projecting, Cole, just because you not totally satisfied and happy with Zay does not mean that Colleen has to be unsatisfied and unhappy with Matt, so you can have your chance at her now. It's still Cole and Colleen talking. And she said, so how's things? Is everything going great for you and Zay? And he's like, I mean, the emotional connection is there, and we did the do. It's been physical, it's been cool or whatever, but she's typically not what I would go for in the real world. That's not my type. So Colleen was like, what's your type then? He said, you. She was like, oh, I appreciate that. And then we get him in like a confessional talk about why he can't find the perfect person because he emotionally connected to um Zay, but he's physically connected to Colleen because they both admit that if they were in the real world, she's the type of woman he's going to approach in the bar, and he's definitely the type of guy that she's going to approach at the bar. See, boy, if I need that same energy was a person, it would be freaking Raven. We see her as her and SK are getting couples massages. The masseuse leaves some chakra oils there for them to use on one another. So he gets up and he starts to use it on her for a second. And then she gets up and she discusses, like, she's been asking him, to up his energy towards her. And she can see that he's really trying, and it's making her fall more in love with him. So they get in the pool and they start discussing that he's been stepping up and bringing, more energy and all that kind of stuff like that. So they get close and she's holding on to him, legs around his waist. They walking in the pool. She's like, don't take me to the deep end, stuff like that, because I can't swim. And she was like, would he, she's asking about his hidden talents. And he was like, being the energy god, bringing all the energy. And she like, oh, okay. So then he was like, but you know what, these past few days, like, honestly, I really do like the fact that we started off slow and basically, talked and really got some things out there and getting to know each other. And it's kind of like making me fall more and more. So at this point, they get to the side of the pool and it's like a little bench inside the water. And she's still on him, but when he starts talking like this, I know I saw her roll her eyes. Like, and then at this moment, she's scooting back further and further away from him as he's discussing how he's falling more and more for her by the day. And then she's all the way back like this now and gonna say, yeah, I feel the same. I feel more energy towards you now. I feel like I'm falling deeper and deeper for you. Like I'm falling in love with you day by day. That's how you fall in love? When you start falling, you lean back and you scoot further and further away from the person. That's how you do it. Raven, that's how it's done. Tell me something. Teach me something I never saw or knew. But then he comes and gets between her legs and they kiss. She's saying one thing, but giving the energy of something else. Because she's confusing me. Nancy and Bart are back in the room. Nancy asks Bart, how was his conversation with Raven? Did he enjoy that pool party? So he was like, yeah, it was cool to talk to her. It's like, we both said it to each other, on paper, us together makes sense. But that's all it is. It makes sense on paper. Me and you we got that emotional connection and stuff going on. So I feel like that's stronger and that's worth, trying to work for, whatever. So he looked at her and he says, so you think when it comes time to you at this point, do you think SK and Raven going to say yes to get married? And Nancy is like, yeah, I think they're going to say yes. I can see them saying yes to one another. And he asks her, if they had to ask you to say, your decision today, what would you say? She was like, in this moment, I'm saying yes. He said, really? Like, even though we haven't had any real conflicts, so you don't know how I work, how I handle conflicts or disagreements and stuff like that, and how I am in the real world, you don't know any of that. She was like, because I just know that I want you, so I'm willing to work through it, so I'm still going to say yes. And he just looking like, Bart having second thoughts. Then we see Alexa and Brennan in the pool talking. They saying that they are the best and everything. And he basically lets her know he can't wait to go home. He's ready to go home already because them being there is like being in a bubble in a fairy tale. And he want to get to the real world to see how their relationship translate in real time in the real world. So let me mention something that I forgot in that last part. In their conversation, Bart admits to Nancy that in his past relationships, he's been, he was like, this not the first time I've fallen in love, but this is the first time I've been in love this deep. He also goes on to explain that in his past relationships where he thought he was in love, it was really, when he was in love, it was good, very, very good. But then at some point, he don't know when it happens, when it clicks. But there'll be times where he starts to lose interest in the woman. Like he'll get bored with her and want to go elsewhere. So that's another thing that Nancy has to think about and keep in mind. Then we get this scene. It's Cole and Zay in the bed talking. So she brings up how he felt about seeing everybody hanging out at that pool party. And she's basically coaxing him back to something he said the night before. She asked him to rate her, and he said he gives her a 9 out of 10. She asked him, is there anybody in here that you would actually give a 10 to? And he said, yeah, 2 people, Colleen and Raven. They're 10s. He said, does that upset you? And she gonna say, I mean, that was a bit shady to say that I'm only a 9 out of 10, but they are 10s. And when she said it, I immediately was like, but you asked. Don't ask a question that you don't really want the answer to. But then, I'm thinking that, but then she goes on to say, well, maybe it's my own fault because I asked it. And it is your own fault. I don't know why, because I have done this. This has been me as a woman at some points in my life. Asking questions that you think you want the answer to or you're ready for the answer to, but you really are not. And the insecurities that you're dealing with lead you to ask these things. And all you're doing is hurting yourself in the end, because no matter what they say, what their response is, you're not going to be assured. It has to be something that comes from within you. That's the lesson I learned thus far in my life. It don't matter what nobody out here say. It's me. I gotta come to terms with what I think I am. You know what I mean? Like, it's nothing nobody on the outside can say that will keep me up here. It's got to be self-talk. Like, it got to be me telling myself, this, you good at this, you great at that. Girl, this is for you. Something, whatever it is. It's got to be you telling yourself that. Because if your self-esteem and your confidence and whatever is dependent upon what a spouse or somebody you care a lot about thinks, if you weigh in your self-worth and all those things on somebody else's opinion, you're going to be like this every time and depleted every time. Because people are imperfect. And it might be one day that they're going to say something that's going to make you feel like this. But if you already went into it telling yourself how great you are and having that worth from within, it's nothing nobody else out here can say to diminish the value that you have in you. So I'm feeling like after watching this conversation between her and Cole, Zay shouldn't have been on this show. Zay needs some life coach classes, some self-help, and all those things like that, because she got too many insecurities that she's projecting, and she's going to ruin the relationship. That's how she's going to ruin the relationship between her and Cole, is her and her insecurities, letting them drive her interactions and stuff like that with him, and how she feels about herself as it relates to him and their relationship and all those things like that. Because he was like, was I not, like, What do you expect? Like, do you really think am I supposed to lie and act like I don't have eyes? It's all and he telling the truth. There's always going to be other women that look more attractive. It is what it is. But like he said, as long as I'm committed to you, that should be all that matters. If I'm committed and loyal and devoted to you, and their beauty won't make me turn my head one way or the other, that's all that should matter. And that is true. Now, we all know that he don't feel that deep of a connection with her though. And he is feeding her some bullshit as far as telling all he wants is her and all those things like that. That's some BS. Because he don't. He got a thing for Colleen. He is definitely attracted to her. And he's sitting up here telling Zay that Colleen look good, but they don't have nothing in common. They can't even have a good, decent conversation and all that kind of stuff. Is what he's trying to get Colleen to believe. I mean, trying to get Zay to believe. So, yeah. I don't know where this is going to go. He even goes as far as to tell her, like, Kim Kardashian, she a 10 out of 10. And honestly, I feel like you look like her. So I feel like I'm a winner in this. But she's just looking at him like, yeah, okay, whatever. Not really believing it. But if she had worked on her self-confidence and stuff and not have these issues within herself, she wouldn't be having these questions and feeling the way she's feeling about him and Colleen. They sitting at the table, Matt cutting food up and eating, was like, yeah, so how was that one-on-one conversation you had with Cole? Colleen says, well, I told him he was cute and everything, but in the real world, would it work? No, it would be you. He said, but I bet you didn't tell him that. And she's like, yeah, I did. Okay, girl, that's what you said. So Matt continues his interrogation and lets Colleen know, like, you didn't handle that right. Like, if a guy tells you you're attractive, you shouldn't be responding with, well, I think you're attractive too, and if we were in the real world, it's whatever. It's up. Like, that's not the response somebody that's engaged to be married would give to somebody who tells her they're attractive. And she's like, but what else was I supposed to say? Like, I didn't know how to handle it. He was like, it's 3 words. That's my man. I'm engaged to him. That's what you're supposed to say. Thanks. Thanks for telling me I'm attractive and you're attracted to me. But I'm with somebody else. And she's like, but I would never even go there with him like that because I have so much respect for Zay. I wouldn't do that to her. And he said, yeah, but he's fucking doing that to her. He's being disrespectful. And he was like, none of those other women none of the other women have come up to me and told me how attractive I was. And if they had, I'd be like, that's cool, but that's me right there. My eyes are only on her. And she gets up and walks away. She's crying, saying she need a moment. So he's still sitting there. He continues to eat. And then he waits and he gets up and he goes in there inside. Because they was like on the patio. He goes inside. They in the bathroom. They having a conversation. And he says the same thing again. Basically like, your response was delayed. Like, that's not how you respond. And I'm sitting here watching him. She was like, but I love you. I want to make it work with you. And he was like, yeah, you love me. You're attracted to me, but it's fuck me. Because you let him think that if y'all was in the real world and he told you was attractive, he have a fucking shot. Is basically what you did. I'm not going to get played. He's like, I'm not going to be played on this show. It's just not going to happen. And he was like, I'm done. I'm done with this. And he walks away from her. And for a second, I'm looking at it and I'm like, is this emotional abuse that he's doing? Is he taking it too far? You know, because she said she'll do anything to make it work. Call it people pleasing, whatever you want to call it. She don't give a fuck. She loved Matt. She want to make it work with Matt. Matt walks out, goes out into the yard or whatever it was, breaks the fourth wall and said, like, come on, be real. If you was engaged or married to somebody and your wife said some guy told her he was a physically attracted to her. And she said, well, I think you look good too. And he buys her a drink. And she's saying, whatever happens, happens. You'd be pissed off too, right? Wouldn't you? And you don't really hear the person behind the camera or whoever he's talking to. You really don't hear them respond. And he like, take this mic and stuff off of me. It's over. Like, it's over. She was like, so you want to break up? Like, it's over? Like, you're not going to be engaged anymore? No. Whoever he's talking to, producer or whoever. They're like, so you breaking off the engagement? You're not engaged anymore? And he was like, eh, eh. And I know he's operating out of a place of having gone through what he went through a few years before with that first wife. That's what he's operating out of at this moment. I think, I don't know. I can't say. Because it's like if you give her the benefit of the doubt and she still plays you, then you're going to be feeling extra stupid. So, I don't know. I don't know. But I'm starting to feel like my initial reaction to Colleen in this engagement, I don't, as time went on and they have developed their physical chemistry and connection with each other, maybe has grown to really want to be with him. And I don't know. But I can definitely see where he's coming from. Whew, this was something. This was episode number 5, y'all. We getting down the line. It's gonna be all over in another week and a half or so. Because we're gonna have the next few episodes next week. It's usually like what? Like 10 episodes or so, something like that. 12 episodes. And it's usually like they drop 4 in the first week, 4 in the next week, which would be 8, and then the next 3 episodes the next week. So yeah, in 2 weeks, it'll be over. This was something else. Get in the comments and let's discuss this show. I see y'all out in the comments, all right? Don't forget to like and subscribe on your way in or on your way out. And I will see y'all in the next episode, which will be number 6, once I do the recap.